here now. Daniel Turner, Power the Future Executive Director. Dan, so good to see you. So the expectation is that the Biden administration announces an additional release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It's said to be 10 to 15 million barrels of a release. It's not clear if that's part of the big release they announced earlier this year. But what do you make of this purely political maneuver?
Well, besides the fact that we don't need to release strategic reserves if we were just allowed to produce oil here domestically, right? This is a self-inflicted wound by the Biden administration. For 2 years, he's punished this industry and hasn't allowed us to do our jobs. But taking that out of the equation, the strategic reserves are for emergency purposes. And basically, the Biden administration is saying the emergency that we're facing is that Democrats are going to lose the House and the Senate. There is not a national emergency in terms of a catastrophic event. There's not a war emergency. The emergency is Biden's political future. And we are at now less than 40% of the reserves. That's really precarious in case we did have an actual emergency in this country. So it's absolutely infuriating that once again Joe Biden is caught using the American government, using his power to help himself politically, to help his family gain, as we've seen he does in the past. It's really just infuriating.
Well, we know that's the motive, because as you wrote in the New York Post, he's gone to Saudi Arabia not once, twice, but 3 times in different forms to beg for more oil production. And Saudi Arabia came out and said point blank that he wanted us to delay the production cut until after the midterms.
Yeah, and the Biden has really been humiliated by the Saudis multiple times now. And so, again, releasing the strategic reserves, what he's going to announce tomorrow, going to the Saudis to ask them to produce more oil and gas. Is any of this for the American people? No. Is it for the economy? No. It's for Biden and for Democrats to maintain power. The American people, our economy, the trillions of dollars of wealth American families have lost, the American stock market has lost. None of those things matter to the Bidens right now. All that matters is maintaining power in Washington, D.C.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Saudi Arabia, they didn't use the word midterms in the statement. I think that it was a month. So the implication was until after the election. Right, Dan?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they didn't accuse, they said after November. And so it was really just implied. But again, the frustrating thing with all of this, Dagan, we can produce all the oil and gas we need here in America. The Americans who are going to vote in 20 days can remember it was not long ago when gas prices were under $2 a gallon nationwide, when electricity prices, home heating prices were lower.
Let me get to that. The 2 words that I use more than any these days are policy mistake. And in terms of policy mistakes, the Biden administration, this is according to multiple reports, is considering limiting or banning exports of refined product. And they simply don't understand how oil and gasoline and refined product are moved around the United States and the world. Dan, that could result in shortages in the Northeast and in the West.
Absolutely. Yeah, and price controls, none of these things have ever worked to spur the economy. What works is the liberalization of regulations. What works is getting government out of the way. What works is trust in the private sector. And when the previous administration put trust in the private sector, put trust in the oil and gas industry, what did we do? We produced more oil and gas for the greatest number of people at the lowest price point in the most efficient way. All of this nonsense of price gouging and profiteering and colluding, all of that is said now. In the previous administration, when we were allowed to do what we do best, we produced more for less. And we can return to that.
Just to get into the weeds or the details. Here's what Andy Lipow said about the potential if you limit or ban the export of refined product. At first glance, prices might fall, but I think that supply shortages will develop in places that can least afford it, New England and the West Coast. Imports into New England and the West Coast, again, imports from overseas will be replaced with domestic supplies from the Gulf Coast, but those imports will be diverted to countries that previously purchased exports from the Gulf. But they're insufficient tankers, Jones Act tankers, that's a federal regulation, to handle the additional volume. So you either have to waive the Jones Act tanker regulations, and if there aren't enough tankers, shortages will develop until prices rise to reattract imports. A basic misunderstanding of how product moves around the nation. On top of that, I've got to get your reaction to this, Dan. This is a report from Javier Blas at Bloomberg. The last time commercial diesel inventories were this low in mid-October, Harry Truman was president. Spot prices in the New York harbor are now more than $200 a barrel right now. There is a diesel crisis right now. And what's the administration going to do about it?
And these are the refined products that they're
Right.
threatening to limit. And so, yeah, diesel is a refined product. Home heating fuel, and the Northeast is already facing a severe shortage of this product right now. And winter is really just beginning, right? We're only in the middle of fall. So we have a very long season ahead of us where these products are in dire demand. And we talked about this last year, right? All of these things are foreseen. They were all predictable. The Biden administration did nothing to prevent them or to stop it from happening. And look, in the simplest terms, when it comes to energy policy, if Biden had literally done nothing, if he had absolutely done nothing, we would be in much better shape. All of the problems we are facing is because of the proactive steps this administration took with their hatred of the fossil fuel industry, their embrace of this radical green agenda, their embrace of the radical climate agenda. This is the consequence.
Dan, before we go, you wrote in your piece you wrote in the New York Post, you said that Congressman Ro Khanna pretends that domestic oil levels are just shy of former President Donald Trump's records. Well, he does that by including the 1 million barrels that Biden takes out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve every day. And I just want to remind everybody, and I'll get your final reaction to this, that Ro Khanna said this to the CEO of Chevron last year. He praised BP and Shell for reducing their oil production. And he asked Chevron's CEO, are you embarrassed as an American company that your oil production is going up when your European counterparts are going down? He castigated an American oil CEO for oil production going up. Final word to you on that.
It's been 2 years of this, Dagan. It's been 2 years of the administration and Democrats in Congress going after this industry. And this industry is the lifeblood of our economy. It's the lifeblood of our goods and services. And it's a thoroughly American and wonderful industry that creates a lot of jobs and a lot of good for this nation. And 2 years of this abuse, we are all suffering the consequences of it. And it's just infuriating to see them try to backtrack now because they have an election in 2 weeks where they're going to absolutely get destroyed.
Daniel Turner, thank you for being here, always. Great to talk to you.
Thanks, Dagan.